Well, in the process of trying to build these two Yellowstone Park stagecoaches that used to run in Yellowstone Park back in the early 1900s, they are now part of my own personal collection, and I'm trying to put them back together. That is the 11 and this is the 8. Well, I'm at the point where I'm trying to incorporate this rear curve panel that helps incorporate this rear seat. I did bend the first set last time around, if you all watched that one. I left it in the form for, 15, 16 hours. And I do keep a fire going here, so I'm just going to let it sit here and dry. Now, one thing about this kiln-dried lumber, as opposed to bending green sawn lumber, this kiln-dried, when I force that moisture back into the wood, that moisture comes out much more quickly. It would probably either take a kiln or quite a period of time. I don't know what that would be. It's just naturally air dry if it was green. But generally, within about a week, I can put a moisture meter on these, and they'll be back down to that 8-10%, which is ambient humidity in this part of the country. So this is my second bend for the second coach for the main frame on the rear panel. And I went directly to this heavy beam first while it was still warm. And you can see I got a little more bend in here than I did on the other one. The other one is going to work just fine, but having a little more bend in here is going to be a good thing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put my second set here as well and just kind of let them dry. One will be for the 11 and one will be for the 8. It doesn't really matter because they're both going to be the same. Well, we had winter show up this week, and we ended up with our first significant snowfall of a couple inches, and we got down to that 0, 1 below mark for a couple days. So it's nice to have that steamer going right now, because really that's the only heat on that other side of the shop where the steamer's at. So generally when I'm steaming, I can steam a batch at one time, and if I let things set for a day, there's enough fire in those coals that it'll start back up again. If I go more than 24 to 30 hours, then I just have to restart the whole thing, which is not a bad deal. But while I've got the thing going, I would like to do some more bending, and I need to bend these side frames also that need to come in from the seat frames and into the front frame, and then also curve into the back frame that we just ended up bending. So it is only this portion here from the frame forward and from the frame back that I need to have bent. Going down the side is going to stay relatively flat, so I'm kind of curious what this curve is going to be. So I've been kind of just playing around a little bit, and this is nothing very fancy, but I'm just trying to see what kind of an arc I would have here. And it works out that I'm at 26 inches here, so that is a 52-inch diameter, 26-inch radius. Looks like it would be pretty close. So when I go home at night, oftentimes Diane is maybe doing some Bible study, or she's reading, or different things that she does besides her quilting. And she'll look at me and say, "Why are you just sitting in the chair?" Seems like I'm not doing anything, but like men, we have our little box that we open up and we're focusing on that box. Well, my box has been this bending process. So I've been trying to figure out what am I going to do to bend this curve on both ends. And I had thought about using maybe a 48-inch felly to use that for my form, but I don't want to destroy perfectly good fellies. So, in my sitting there like a bump on a log, but my mind is going and thinking, I think I'm going to take an old scrap tire. I think I have some that are 3-inch maybe out there that aren't any good for actually using anymore, and I can cut these into sections, and I think that's going to be my form. And when I do this side frame for this 11 passenger, the curve in the front and the curve in the rear are going to be the same, but because I have two seats, I'm much longer in between these two bends, so I can't actually bend the two at the same time. I should be able to bend both the right and the left side together, but I can't bend the 11 and the 8 together. This is 3 inches wide. It's not quite wide enough in diameter. I have about 40 inches, but I'm going to cut it and spread it out a little bit. And I think if I do it at 48, that should be enough undersize for my 52 that I'm thinking, because this is more of a gradual bend and it is going to relax more. So this is what I have for the front on the 8 passenger. This needs to actually come into about here when I have it jointed in. So I've made this to where it's going to be about twice as far as it needs to go, because I think it's going to relax some. Now the 11 is actually a little bit shorter through this distance. These I've made 18 inches. But on this front seat on the 11, the distance here is much shorter. So I made a couple that are 16 inches. And again, this is about where I'm going to come up straight and bend over. And I'm going about twice the distance, so it's going to spring back. Now I've made these extra long just for leverage sake. And I'm going to trim it off here, but I think this is the form that I'll use on this one. And then this is the rear seat that's going to come into this back main frame that comes up here. And I think I can use these 16-inch ones here as well. Again, I think this is overbending, but that's what we need. So to keep these from skating around when I'm trying to actually do the bending, I'm going to put a couple tabs on it that I can anchor down to a table or whatever I'm going to fasten these to, and be able to bring this around into this form. So this will give me a back and a front for the 8 passenger, and the back and the front for the 11, because they should both be the same, and the back of both of them are the same. So this side frame on this 8 overall is about 6 feet, just right there. But between the front of this frame here and the back of the frame of the rear seat, that part we want to remain straight, and I am at 3 feet there. So I've got a 1-inch oak board laid up on a couple stands here. This is my 18-inch form for the front curve, and this is my 16 for the back. And I want to have 3 feet between these two. That's going to put me just right about right there. So I'm going to put a screw into these, hold these into place. So these steel tires are 3 inches, but my framework is only 1 inch, so I'm only going to use 2 inches of this. And you can see I'm right at the edge of my form. So what I'd like to do is shim this up so my 2 inches will fit right through the center of this steel tire for my form. It'll also give me a place for my framework that I'm going to bend to sit on. And to keep these front and back. So they should set right about so, and I can clamp it here and then bring this around on both the sides. And I'm also anticipating that as I pull these ends around, this is going to want to bow out against that bend. So I just scrounged through my scrap iron pile here, and I'm going to put a backing plate on that to keep that more in line. Somewhere in there. So as I come out of the steamer, I should be able to line up my joints with my framework, slip that into place, and this should keep it from bowing out as I bend the ends the other direction. And in all the bending that I have done, you know it is advantageous to have a metal band to the back side. I'm only 3/4 of an inch thick, so it should bend without being contained, but I'm going to take an 1/8 inch flat strap and I'm going to put a 90-degree bend out this direction, so when I clamp it I have something to put my clamp up against, and I'm going to bend this end this direction, and then it should kind of help contain that as I go ahead and use a clamp to try to force this around against this form. So my plan is I'm going to hook this on the end, and then I'll be able to clamp this in place here. And I want to have that up as tight as I can against that end. And I should be able to take my pipe clamps and start bringing it in. Bring it as far as I can, contain it, get another bite, and just bring it on in. That's my plan. And with a little more studying on this deal, I think I'm going to probably fight keeping this in place. So I'm going to add another block here to shim it out. When I get into the rush of getting things done, I want to just be able to set this in place and then come back here and clamp this in place and not have to worry about this falling off. I think I'll have enough problem with everything else I got going. So when I'm doing this with 2-inch thick material, I have a little time. You can see I don't get super excited, but I keep going. This being only 3/4 of an inch thick, time is going to be a little bit more of the essence. One of those times would be nice to have an extra set of hands. Do what you got to do. Hope it works. Well, that didn't go too bad. I think it'll work. Somebody had sent me these pistol grip clamps before, and I'd never used them, so I really didn't know what their capacity was. So I tried them at first, and you could see they just didn't have enough pull. My pipe clamp and these other clamps, these bar clamps, actually were the ticket. So I've got the other two that fit the 11 passenger still in the steam box. I'm just going to take this and set it aside, and I have another board that is set up to do the 11. Clamp one side, just make sure it doesn't come off my stands. Get all these clamped into place. That didn't work so well. Well, that one went a little different. We got it there in the end. Got a nice bend here on both ends. I think it's going to work. So I'm going to just let these set for the next 24 hours or so. See how much spring back we have and if they're going to work. Well, while I've got a little bit of time while these are cooling down, I want to bring up the point that the mugs that Kathy makes with the complete picture of all three wagons for the Borax wagons are back in stock again. She was out briefly for a little bit, and she has also put together a set of coasters, a set of 4, to go with those, so you might check those out as well. And also got word that the hat with the leather patch in the front is due to be in this week, they're thinking. So you might check that out maybe through the week, and it'll be here soon. I'm going to wait 24 hours to take these off, but will I include it? If I showed you right now how they turned out, you wouldn't want to come back for the next video. I wouldn't want that. I want you to come back and watch the next video. So I'll show you then. And everybody at home was going, "Arrgh." Anyway, appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.